The University of Cape Town says although some of its current teaching and learning plans may change depending on the COVID-19 developments in the country, it plans to start its second term on Monday. But for more on this, I'm joined via Skype by Elijah Moholola, who is the Senior Manager, Social and Media Liaison at the University of Cape Town. Elijah, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
It's a pleasure and good day to you, Simpiwe.
Now, we've seen, for instance, at the University of Johannesburg, this online learning model has been met with scorn and resistance and criticism. Are you anticipating the same kind of reaction from your students there?
Not necessarily. I suppose somehow the scenarios might be a little bit different from one university to the next. In our case, we have done as much preparatory work as we could. We've worked with the student representatives along every step of this journey, and we have tried to put as much support measures in place as possible. I could probably go into a bit of more detail into what we have done. We've made sure that students without laptop access or resources access actually have those delivered. Laptops will be delivered to their students right at their doorstep. Data has been to an extent sorted out. We are continuing to look at any other potential further measures that we can put in place to support students as much as possible. As well, next week we are dedicating the whole week instead of going fully fledged into starting an academic program online. The whole week is going to be orientation week, where we are going to iron out any other lingering issues that there might be, technology-wise or otherwise, make sure that the other week later when we start, everyone is almost fully on board.
Now, during that orientation week that I just mentioned, would it also include capacitating some of the students, especially those at the elementary stage of tertiaries, well, specifically the first years who don't have any online learning experience and who've been accustomed to face-to-face learning in the past?
Most certainly, we will be looking particularly at those vulnerable or most disadvantaged students that are not necessarily very familiar with online learning. It's something that is new to everyone, to the students, to the academic staff member. It's completely new, which is why we are giving a dedicated week to look at the specifics. What are the things that we need to work further on? However, we need to also point out that as much as it's a completely new experience in terms of it being fully online, elements of these are what we would have used in a normal academic term. So online, the platforms, for instance, that we are going to be using fully now, we have been using them to an extent. So it's not something that is entirely completely new. However, we understand that the support level, the resources required and everything else are at a different level. Hence, we are making sure that we provide the support that is required.
And the fact that the university has already announced that the second term will begin from next Monday, it does appear that the university has already made a decision. And one then wonders if student engagement has happened in the whole process. Were students engaged and, to get a buy-in from them, whether they are for or against this mode of learning?
There was certainly a level of engagement. Student Representative Council have been in engagements with the executive. We had to make sure that every step of the way, obviously as the executive, there's a way that you might want to drive the direction of this online learning, but all parties, student representatives, Senate Executive Committee, everyone else has been involved. And in terms of actually getting to the nitty-gritties of the student situations, actually what we have done as well, we've put out a survey. Out of this survey, for instance, it was completed, the last we checked on the 15th, it was completed by 90.4% of our student population. And out of this 90.4, 89.5 of them have access to either a laptop or a desktop. So those are the kind of preparatory works that made sure that as we move into online learning, we do not leave students behind. We make sure that we work the journey with them. Out of those that do have access to a laptop, when you speak of internet access, for instance, 91.4% of them do have internet access in some way or form. So we're looking at a situation where we are going to be accommodating the 8.6% that at this stage does not have internet access. And those are the further measures that we are putting in place. In addition, of course, to things such as the negotiations that we've had with cell phone providers. Two of them, Cell C and Telkom, have already agreed that they are going to zero rate access to certain UCT websites.
All right, Elijah, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. That was Elijah Moholola, who is the Senior Manager, Social and Media Liaison at the University of Cape Town, joining us via Skype. We appreciate your time.